Hi everyone, today we will be going over PLMA's user guide. So we run this application by writing electron dot enter, and then we can just exit that out. Here is our beautiful GUI. Alright, so as you can see, we have a parser running in the background where I am basically collecting the plugin names from the plugins folder. This parser was implemented, and you can see that it's working by going into our Pluma folder and looking at all of the current plugins that are here. So for example, Canberra is right here, and so on. So as a user, I want to see all the plugins that are already installed, so that way I know what I need to install if it's not there. Then this right here is the README parser that Bhavyta has been talking about. I helped a little on coding it as well. So here, as a user, I want to see the input and output for the plugins that are needed in order to do her input and output file verification. But she'll talk about that later. So, but as a user, I wanted to display it right next to the plugin, and that is this giant table because we have a lot of plugins installed. So now as a user, I wanted to search the plugin pool and in order to add or install more plugins. So here you can see that I am basically web scraping the whole BioOrg plugin pool HTML website, and in here I can basically go to any plugin that I'm interested in downloading. So let's download Remove Negative. Plugin was successfully downloaded and installed in the plugins list. So if I go into my plugins folder, here you can see that today at 11:26, it's 11:26 right now, I have downloaded it. So if I were to click on it again, it will tell me that it was already downloaded off of this GitHub website. So as a user, I want to be able to install plugins without having to go to GitHub and having to run commands on the terminal. And that is basically what I'm doing. So when people do an on-click of a plugin, I'm running all these scripts in the background, so that way the user does not have to code anything at all. So now Rishabh, take it away, or Bhavyata, one of the two.
So I can get it started. One thing about the user interface is that everything is integrated very smoothly, like all our parts. So like Cesia said, all her installed plugins are being displayed now. And the main thing now is to assemble the pipeline. So as a user, I want to drag and drop any plugin from my installed plugins list, drop it into the pipeline box there. And as this goes on, you can put in all the plugin areas.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? I think the audio was a little iffy.
Yeah, so you can just put in all the install plugins in the respective area, and after that, you're going to select certain input-output files, and Bhavyata can talk about that.
Mm-hmm. So, firstly, if you don't have a plugin already dragged and dropped, and you try to upload like a file type of like an input or output file, it's gonna give you an alert. So try doing that for me. Yeah, try. Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna give you an alert to add a plugin first, because there's an input and output file associated with each specific plugin, and you need to have the plugin first, so that the type that you upload can be checked against that the allowed types of that plugin. So once you have your plugin set up, you can actually click on input file button, and a file browser window is going to pop up. You can actually choose from your local computer the file that you want to upload. That's going to go as the input file for the first plugin, which is Mount Ford here. And as you see, like the input file type allowed for it is a .csv. So if you try For example, try a .txt. So an error pops up that it couldn't be uploaded and only those kind of files are allowed. So you have to try again. So you try again, and then you do the right type, which is .csv. And then as you can see, the name of the file that you uploaded actually pops up under the button. And so the way that I did that, and you can do the same thing for the output file button too. So the way that I did this is that every time the user is selecting a file, that when they do that, I'm extracting the type of the file that they upload, and then I'm saving that, like I'm storing that, and then I'm implementing a README parser, because every plugin has a README file, and I'm reading through that, extracting the input and output file type information, and then comparing that with the file type that they uploaded. And if they don't match, the error message pops up. If they do match, then it actually shows up here under the button.
Great. Rishabh, can you please talk to us about what happens after this?
Yeah, sure. So as you see now, the pipeline has been perfectly assembled in the user interface, integrating all our parts very smoothly. And now, after all this is on the user interface, the user needs to have it in the backend. So that's done through the save button. Now, what I did with this is, of course, it's going to give you an alert that data has been saved. What it does is it parses through the entire pipeline assembly area, reads all the information along with the input file name, the plugin names, and the output file name, and sends it to a config.txt file. Now, here you see a random hash of numbers with .csv output file types. These are the temporary output file names. So Cesia would go back to the interface. So in each of these pipeline boxes, it acts as its own individual pipeline. So we need to have a temporary output file name for each of them. So each plugin has a temporary output file name associated with it. And for this to be unique, I created a hash function that generates a random number that's base 10 with a .csv temporary output file extension, so that when we pass this into the Pluma software, it can run smoothly. Along with that, there's also a add plugin boxes feature to expand the pipeline, which Cesia implemented, and you can also remove the boxes if needed. And after all this, if the user in any case had unnecessary or unwanted plugins, like Cesia had done earlier in the video, you can just drag it to the trash can on the interface, and it just gets removed.
Okay, well, thank you for listening to our user guide on how to use Pluma. We hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.